singing, praise the God, praise the God. And I knew then that we had entered the time of the apocalypse. Oh, yes, because when you see them silicon lips, you know they pucker up real big. We was in the apocalypse time now. And I had a revelation. And that revelation talks about a beast rising up from the sea of evil. You put an L in front of evil, you get level. And there's a secret revealed right there. See, one sentence, rising sea level. Yes. So I went to the mountaintop. I've been to the mountaintop because the sea level was rising. And I looked out and I saw a watchtower and I thought, damn, they be making money out of this longer than me. And then I looked further and I saw Greece and I saw Rome and I saw the tribes of Europe. And they was all signing over their souls for a promised land and a new world order. Oh, yes. And then I saw the people of Australia, the pagan people of the Antipodes. I said, we must pray. We must pray. We must pray upon these people. Oh, yeah. But I needed to have no fear. Why did I need to have no fear? Because I saw Sister Julia. She was a preaching across Parliament. She was a proselytizing and a persecuting anybody who dared to doubt. And I knew Sister Julia had really taken this bull by the horn. And I mean bull. So I said to myself, get on down. Well, I didn't say that. I said the acronym anyway. Get on down, I said. Get to Australia, spread the word. And if St. Al Gore would come on down,
Spread your legs.
it will be just like a second coming. Oh, there it all goes. St. Al and Sister Julia. Al and Julia. And I said, it's time to sing Al and Julia. Oh, yeah. So now I'm on fire up here because of the global warming situation. So right now, I brought along a gospel hymn. In fact, I thought we could have her and a hymn, or him and a her. That's why we're going to sing the Al and Julia chorus. Give me a little bit of Al and Julia there now, sister. Anytime y'all ready, because we've got to get rid of this carbonated stuff. I said, come on, everybody. Yeah. Who wants to relax? Take that carbon tax. It's Al and Julia. Again. Al and Julia, yeah. Who wants you in control of our bodies and our souls? But Al and Julia, again. To take away our waters. Have a new world order. That's right. It's Al and Julia. Oh, big Al and Julia. Now, who wants to see a world where nothing is free? I said nothing. Not even what the law gives us. No. Nothing free, and it's certainly not going to be free for you, and not for me. I can tell you. We're going to see this whole land called Australia. One economic failure. Who wants that? Again. All right. That's right. Who needs to see this wealth redistribution? It's going to pave a way for revolution. And what's more, we're all going to be poor. Thank you. That's right. Because Julia, she got the knack to bring in anything for a tax. Yeah, who are they? Oh, finish here. Al and Julia. That's right. That's wonderful to hear the congregation joining on in and paying on your money. Now, this ain't be a carbon taxation. It's what you call a different kind of weapon of mass destruction. But here endeth the lesson, brothers and sisters. So if that hymn that's got ears, listen on up. Who knows? We all pray hard enough. Getting an election might be a miracle. Thank you, everybody.
Pastor But where I want to take you is to this. Free and worthy. What are we? Free and worthy. Come on, really get it. Free and worthy. Let's start by appreciating what we're achieving right now. Let's celebrate the fact that there are thousands of people here. Our dedication, our loyalty, and our trust in each other. And our trust that we can rely on each other after the governance has failed us. We are feeling angry. We're feeling disappointed. We're feeling betrayed. Feeling hurt. We're feeling vulnerable. We're also feeling worried. And we're feeling very concerned for the future of this country. What do we need? We need an election. Why? Because we need reassurance. We need trust. We need honesty. We need leadership. We need security. And we need a fair go. We need a fair go. Let's understand the basics so that we can meet our needs. On this one page, there are 2,600 dots. You can't see them. One of those dots is carbon dioxide. One in every 2,600 molecules of air is carbon dioxide. Less than 0.04%. Now, we're going to roll this out.
Got that, Dave?
Hold it up by Henry. Now, every year on this planet, nature produces 97% of the Earth's annual carbon dioxide production. There are 33 pages.
Yeah.
You leave it down there, I think it's too long. Keep going. Keep going. What it means is that we now have 85,800 dots in front of you. There are 33 green dots. They're the carbon dioxide produced annually. And by the way, the oceans contain more than 50 times in dissolved form the carbon dioxide that's in the entire atmosphere. The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere lasts as little as months. Every southern hemisphere winter, the carbon dioxide is reduced dramatically by nature. This is in the data that the UN uses, but it tells us lies. What it means, two things. First of all, there are 33 dots representing carbon dioxide in every 85,800 molecules of air. They're telling us, quite truthfully, that 32 of those molecules are essential for every living organism on this planet. How the hell can one catastrophically devastate this planet sometime in the future? It's not pollution, that is insane. Now the other thing, if we stop producing carbon dioxide overnight forever, the oceans would simply release a little bit more.
Good.
If we quadrupled our production overnight and kept it that way, the oceans would release a little less. Humans do not control the carbon dioxide levels. Nature does, entirely on her own. Now, are you scared of carbon dioxide? No. And you shouldn't be. Reassure that we do not control Earth's climate. Now you can take it out that way. That'll do, Joe. Just take it out to the end. There is nothing scary about carbon dioxide. There is plenty to be scared about with the deceit, the lies, the corruption, the misrepresentations, the fraud.
That's right. And the treason.
We need to be concerned about the deceit. 2010, Gillard's lie. she introduced an open-ended, upward ratcheting tax designed to be lifted, with no future compensation and no mandate whatsoever. Combe and Wong have lied. Carbon dioxide is not a pollutant. Rudd lied. Turnbull wanted us to have an emissions trading scheme, and he has no evidence. Now, sadly, I've been to Greg Hunt with a 4-centimetre documented file of the corruption driving this. And he asked questions. He asked for the whole lot, so I gave it to him. 2 months later, I said, have you found any errors in my documentation? His response, 5 times I've asked him, we're all entitled to our beliefs.
Yeah, right.
Tony Abbott is a strong skeptic on the science. I've heard from 6 prominent Liberals and Nationals that he remains a skeptic. Why are we being told that we need a direct action plan to cut human carbon dioxide? The point is that our governance is being destroyed. I've been to the CSIRO, the chief executive, the group executive for the environment, asking for evidence. In their replies, none have given me any evidence. I've torn apart their documents. It is corrupt completely. It is deliberate, orchestrated misrepresentation from a government-funded science organization. I've asked all 9 most prominent academics spreading this global warming nonsense in this country. Flim, Flam, Flip, Flop, Flannery, David Caroli, Ross Garno, Will Stephen, Kurt Lambach, Matthew England, Ove Goldberg, Andy Pittman, Leslie Hughes. Most have replied. Not one has given me any evidence. The common thing they share, apart from misrepresenting science, is that they are all funded by the government, by us. The government is using your money to steal more money from you. Now the ABC, I've torn apart some of their shows. Just basically a propaganda unit. More taxpayer funding to distort the science. They're using your money to fund stealing more money. So I asked myself, I didn't know about where I'm going to go next a few years ago. I said, why? That's the question, why? Craig Kelly hit the nail on the head. They want to wreck our country. This is not a recent fraud. In 1988, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was formed. It is a fraudulent organization pushing complete corruption of science. It has no evidence. It goes back beyond 1988 to 1972, the formation of the United Nations Environmental Program, first led by Maurice Strong. Maurice Strong said he had 2 aims. United Nations this is. One is to de-industrialize Western civilization. Take us back to the caves. The second goal that Maurice Strong had, the second goal he had was to implement world socialism right around the world. He has said this. He's a Canadian billionaire. Let's go back. 1945, don't worry about him. 1945, the United Nations was formed with direct help from the Rockefeller family and the banksters in Europe. Documented. Other global organizations pushing this scam. The Bilderbergers, the Trilateral Commission, the Council for Foreign Relations, and the Club of Rome. This is not the first day of this tax. Go back further to 1913. In the 30 years between 1880 and 1913, the Rockefellers again, and the Rothschilds, and the Warburgs, and some other European families, banking families, formed the Federal Reserve Bank, which we thought was a government organization. It is not. It is a private bank owned by Europeans, and it controls our money supply. And what are they pushing now? Carbon dioxide trading. Julia Gillard's scam tax is here for 2 years to lay the path for a carbon dioxide trading scheme. That's new currency. Now let's go back further. This is what I want to get to. 1880. Rockefeller again did not like the education system in the States because it was turning out people who could think. Rockefeller, John Taylor Gatto's documented this, funded the corruption of American education. When you think about this, the best research that this world has seen on the development of humans shows that the critical period for the formation of both character and intellect is 0 to 6. And then the rest of the patterns come in pretty much by puberty. Where do we spend those years? At school. And we are learning what the government propaganda is pushing us on carbon tax, but more importantly, we are learning the teacher out front knows it all. The authority figure you don't challenge. The teacher is responsible for my learning, not me. Now I mean this from the bottom of my heart, we are all powerful people. We are worthy. We are not the guilty, disgraceful rapists of this planet. We are powerful. We just need to get back in touch with our power. Let's go beyond the 1880s. And by the way, the formation of the Federal Reserve Bank, the campaign from 1880 to 1913, is almost identical with the campaign from 1972 to July 1st, 2012. We'll go back further to 1694, the formation of the Bank of England. Thank you. The Bank of England, another privately owned organisation, just like most of the banks in Europe, central banks in Europe. How many here knew that the Federal Reserve Bank, which controls money effectively, just prints it out of thin air? Thank you very much. How many thought it was a public organisation, a government organisation? It is not. It is controlled by the Rothschilds, it's controlled by the Rockefellers, the JP Morgan, and a lot of you people know this. This is not just national deceit, this is global deceit. When we look at the history of the Bilderbergers, the Rothschild, the Trilateral Commission, we know that there is some murderous intent in there. We know that there is some naive intent in there. When you look at Europe, we can see that there is a hell of a lot of stupidity in there. This tax, this is the first day, but it's 40 years old. It goes back to 72, and it has an ancestry of 316 years. Now I'd like you to come back here to us. Visualize an infant taking its first steps. It struggles. We all went through that struggle. We're all walking. You never doubted it. We never questioned it. We developed an intellect that's been restricted in our outlook by our education, our history systems that have taught us nothing about the banksters. We are now vulnerable, weak, and subservient to authority. Bullshit. We have seen through the climate scam. We know it's a con, we know it's a fraud. So the first thing is, let's acknowledge ourselves for working that out. Acknowledge the fact that we have seen through billions, and I mean billions of dollars of corrupt science portrayed as fact. We have been through the propaganda. We have seen through it. We are worthy of our freedom. So the second thing is to acknowledge who we really are. We are free, capable, and strong.
We're Australians. That's right.
AXA, go beyond. Beat defeat. Go beyond. Free and worthy. 2007, Rudscon. 2010, Gillard's Lie. 2013, free and worthy. Until then, or until the election, please learn, do whatever you can to learn and share the facts, because understanding is the key. Hold politicians accountable. Greg Hunt why he is pursuing carbon dioxide cutting. Consider, now listen to this one, consider standing for election yourself. I've dealt with a lot of people in Parliament, and believe me, many of them entered for the right reasons. But since then, the system has changed their behaviours, many of them, so that they're beholden to party power brokers. We have got a handful of people on both sides of politics trying to run the show, and they are stuffing it up. This is not a democracy. Stand up and go for election yourself. Fourth thing, share understanding and support each other. It's not an exaggeration to say our country is now facing the greatest threat since the Second World War. And John McRae will tell you more in a minute. Democracy is not free. It has a price. It needs us. It needs us to be involved, to stand up for it. We are free and worthy. Let me hear you all say it. We are free and worthy. We are free and worthy. Keep it going.
Well, Malcolm, you've done it again.
That's the world, mate.
Now, thank you, Giles. Fellow Australians, Plato said that the penalty good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. There is no doubt that we are ruled by evil men and evil women.
That's not a woman, that's a skank.
Evil men and evil women who are fully aware of the damage they are doing to our economy and to the warp and weft of our society. Evil men and evil women who seem to be in a manic rush to do as much damage as possible in the time left to them.
Like here.
It is now universally accepted that the carbon tax is a very bad thing promoted by evil people. The evil goes back a bit further than Julia Gillard's broken promise and Kevin Rudd's inane pronouncements. This tax has been a long time coming and has mixed paternity. The last dark deed of the Howard government was the passage of the National Greenhouse and Energy Reporting Act in October 2007. That act is the auditing basis of the carbon tax. Mr. Howard's plan was to get the auditing system better down and then start taxing. Labor's carbon tax would be a couple of years behind schedule if Mr. Howard had not laid the bureaucratic foundations for it. The evil that men do lives after them. And in Mr. Howard's case, that is a possible future in which Australia does not have a cement industry, a steel industry, oil refining, a multitude of other industries, and most importantly, a synthetic fuels industry. That is the part of the Howard legacy that many of us have toiled mightily to avoid. That legacy is now with us, and we stare into the abyss of a continually shrinking economy. The list of carbon tax plotters is a lot longer than Howard, Rudd and Gillard. As a scientist, what saddens me is that most of our scientific institutions have failed in their duty to serve and protect the Australian people. The CSIRO, the Bureau of Meteorology, the universities have all sold their souls for a handful of silver.
That's right. 30 pieces of silver.
Our academics have met our lowest expectations of them. And then there are the institutions that actively and purposefully and very treacherously conspire against us. Chief of which is the ABC, which has ceaselessly and shamelessly promoted the bizarre cult of carbon. The ABC pays lip service to the norms of our society while doing their best to undermine it. The ABC is well past its use-by date. It sees Australia through its perverted lens of self-loathing. The next federal government will inherit a lot of debt.
I know.
Sacrifices will have to be made to pay off that debt. The easiest sacrifice to make will be to shut down the ABC. The huge sum that is spent keeping the beast alive would be better off being used to pay off Labor's legacy of debt. If our nation is to endure, the ABC must not survive the next term of federal parliament. None who love our country will weep for it.
No.
Just as this government did not weep for the cement workers who have already lost their jobs due to the carbon tax.
Yes.
And then there is the matter of the CSIRO. They have told too many lies over too many years. Their betrayal of the Australian people cannot be forgiven. To this day, they are trying to sell the Australian people into the slavery and oppression of the carbon tax. The CSIRO must be reformed through the benefit of much correction. The factory and smelter closures that were so predictable under the carbon tax have already begun. Many of those factories will be closed forever. And no amount of wishing or hoping or endless tears will bring them back again. The people who worked in those factories, leading productive lives that helped us all, well, many of those lives are now broken. Families broken, ambition thwarted. To those whoever breathed a word in favour of the carbon tax, bear the guilt of those broken and disrupted lives and broken and disrupted marriages to your graves. Your sin was not a love of nature, but a loathing for your fellow man. Your fault was not a desire to do the right thing, but a lack of an inquiring mind. The notion of global warming was concocted to provide a cloak of scientific respectability for a massive socialist redistribution of wealth. That is as plain as day. All attempts to even up slices from our economic pie, irrespective of effort, always result in a shrunken and misshapen pie.
Well, Gillard's head.
Thus, we are witnessing the shrinking of the Australian economy now underway due to the carbon tax. It is an accident of history that the notion of global warming caused people like me to inquire as to what actually is going on with our climate. I am proud to have done my bit to push back against the darkness that ever encroaches on us. What I found is that there is much to fear, but of course in the opposite direction to that claimed by the socialists. I will summarise the findings of my last 6 years of climate research in 2 sentences. Our generation has known a warm giving sun.
Yes.
The next will suffer a son that is less giving,
Yeah.
and the world will be less fruitful.
Yeah.
Specifically, the current solar cycle is going to be a very long one. That will result in the climate over the following solar cycle being very cold.
Yes. An ice age.
The grain belts of the world will shift up to 700 kilometres towards the equator. World grain production will fall by about 25% at least. That is going to be the biggest problem the world will face in the next 30 years. What about carbon dioxide, you might ask? The total warming from here due to carbon dioxide to the end of time may be of the order of 0.4 of a degree centigrade.
Nothing.
Or it may even be nothing.
Nothing.
All we can be sure of is that it is not a problem. The heating effect of carbon dioxide will be lost in the noise of the climate system. The fake problem of carbon is distracting us from real problems. First of which is the fact that Australia's oil self-sufficiency is declining rapidly. It is 40% now. It will be down to 25% by 2020. We now import oil from as far afield as Azerbaijan, Algeria, and the Congo. We are forced to rely upon their kindness to keep our farms and factories running. It need not be like that. We could make our own transport fuels from our own coal and keep the money we pay for them in Australia. Only then will our nation have any hope of being secure and happy. But that won't happen while the carbon tax and the mining tax live. The carbon tax and the mining tax are a particularly horrific combination for Australia. The carbon tax penalises our biggest resource endowment. The message from the mining tax is that risk capital is not welcome here. The synthetic fuel plants meant for us will be built in Canada and Chile instead.
Yeah, right.
But there could be a very good outcome from this carbon tax debacle. It is not enough to merely put things back the way they were before this particular lot of Australia haters came along. We must use this opportunity, your righteous anger, to unleash the furies on those who failed us and those who conspired against us.
Yes.
There are so many wrongs that need to be righted if we are to make Australia the earthly paradise it was meant to be.
That's right.
So let's right those wrongs.
Election now.
Let's not squander control of the Senate next time.
No. Election now.
Let's have a good clean out.
Yes.
It requires effort on your part. Coming here today is only the beginning.
Ethnic.
Many of you are shareholders, and many of the companies you are invested in sold their souls to get their snouts deeper into the carbon trough.
The World Bank.
Make their lives hell.
Yes.
They deserve it.
Yes.
Hound the directors until they recant.
Smash the stock market.
As for any politicians who have ever believed in global warming, or supported the carbon tax, or a carbon-constrained economy, there is no hope for them. They are either too stupid or incompetent to be taken seriously. Merely recanting at this late stage won't be enough. Make their lives hell too,
Oh, yes.
just as they wished a diminished life on you. Australia will soon face some big challenges as the world enters one of its most turbulent periods. Just maintaining our standard of living in the face of those challenges will require a lot of rigour. We will only get the required level of rigour if we demand it.
Rigor mortis.
Firstly of ourselves, and then of the politicians we choose to represent us. Even then, keeping Australia safe and secure and happy will take our eternal vigilance. Thank you.
Firstly, I'm a very patriotic Australian. I live in the greatest country in the world, with the greatest people in the world, with the greatest achievements in the world. And we've had the greatest number of bastards taken away from us. Now I'll tell you what we've signed up for with the United Nations.
United Nations.
You've heard how Malcolm spoke about the Rothschilds and the corruption in the banks. This is all about money in the banks given by the United Nations. Now, cop this one. Article 44 of the Lima Declaration that Australia seeks to establish a reformed international monetary system to meet the specific needs of all the rest of the world. And we've transferred jobs everywhere. I lived near Mascot Airport when I was growing up, and there was thousands of jobs there. We had the greatest sportsman and the greatest achievement ever in the world that can never be equal. Sir Jack Brabham took the world on with the automotive industry, Ferrari, everyone else, and won the world record.
Three times.
Now you talk about the United Nations and the war and Rothschild. Get that book, Wall Street, The Rise of Hitler, and you'll see how they help finance it. And this carbon tax is driven by the United Nations. Do any of you know how many charters we've signed with the United Nations? I'll just show you. 7,000 of them. And that is to the peril of this country. We've got 75 of the 77 minerals the world requires in abundance. We can make anything here. We're the greatest farmers in the world. We can produce food 365 days of the year. No other country can do it. We can grow rice, wheat, everything, somewhere in this country, every day of the week. And what are they going to do to us? They're going to give us the pineapple treatment. That's why everyone's talking about like this.
That's right.
And when you go to blow your nose, some blood just got their head in your skyrocket.
That's right, yeah.
So what we've got to do is empower the public, empower the politicians, and we want to have what we want. Not what the United Nations tell us, because I'll show you something. I'll show you something. And I'm going to read out the Bankers Magazine of 1924, and that'll make you cough in your office. Now, we've all thought the Russians and the Cold War was a bad organisation. And they were the baddies and America were the goodies. And we've got the Cold War. Half of those rockets you saw were all wooden models.
That's right.
Now, this is the United Nations Charter. Under the Charter of the United Nations, any United Nations peace force would be under the command of the Under-Secretary General for Political and Security Council Affairs. This person has control of all United Nations military affairs, including all nuclear weapons we furnish to the United Nations. The following persons have held that post since 1946. Arkadyev Shovlev, Russia. Konstantin Zinchenko, Russia. They're all Russians. So the facade the United Nations put up, where the goodies, had the baddies running the joint. So the inmates were definitely in charge of the asylum, and away you go again, and we sign another lot of declarations, with the Lima Declaration, the Free Trade Arrangement, this, that, and the Pussycat, and we're buggered. Cop this out of the Bankers Magazine of 1924, August of 25th, 1924. Capital must protect itself in every possible manner by combination of legislation. Cop the legislation she just passed. Debts must be collected, bonds and mortgages foreclosed as rapidly as possible. When through the process of law, the common people lose their homes, what's happening now, they'll become more docile and more easily governed through the strong arm of government, applied by the central power of wealth, under the control of leading financiers. Who's running the carbon tax? The truth is well known amongst our principal men, now engaged in forming an imperialism of capital to govern the world. What do you think's happening?
That's right.
By dividing the voters through the political party system, we can get them to expend their energies in fighting over questions of no real importance. And thus, by discreet action, we can secure for ourselves what has been so well planned and will be so successfully accomplished. What we've got to do is get manufacturing back in the joint, value add our raw materials, be the food bowl of the world, and tell them all to go and get stuck.
Tell them, piss off! Burn the United Nations! Burn the stock market!
I could talk for 4.5 hours without taking a breath, but I'm sure you'd get too cold.
Smash the World Bank! Keep going!
You want to keep going?
Yeah, keep going!
Well, I can tell you something. You want John for another 5 minutes?
Yeah!
Totally up to you. You want John for another 5 minutes? Go. This carbon tax and this brainwash they're giving you is about Agenda 21. And that's to take everything off us. Then when they run us right into the ground, they know what they're going to come up with? The golden chalice.
That's right.
We will become the nuclear waste dump of the world. In Billicolina, South Australia, I have the documents here. And that's what this is about. It's about us not being independent. It's about us being interdependent. We're the only country in the world that could put a barricade round the joint and we wouldn't starve.
That's right.
During the war, you can ask anyone that was in the war, they say, send your warships out to Australia, they'll make a gun out of a coat hanger.
That's right.
They're all out in Mascot, Botany, all around out that way, we had all manufacturing. We can still have it today. But you can't have it while the multinationals are paying no tax. There, you've heard that spoken about today. Mr. Jim Keneally, the Assistant Commissioner of Tax, in October the 28th, 1996, stated multinationals have paid no tax or little tax since 1953. In 1953, we passed this Tax Act that if you're a multinational, international company, or an individual investing or manufacturing in this country, you need not pay tax here, but the tax in the country of your origin. And Jim Keneally stated in 2010 in the Canberra Times, they're escaping tax. So now what we're going to do is we're going to help the multinationals with this carbon tax and stick it right up everyone else. You've got to wake up. And there's none so blind that those that do not want to see, and none so deaf as those that do not want to hear. And Abraham Lincoln left us with a great axiom. You cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. And remember this, your days are numbered with sovereignty, and the dates on your calendar are dated too.
That's right.
Well, John, my goodness.